Hello students, I'm Sam sir with the fourth chapter of your geography textbook. It's known as climate. Now you know the elements of weather are temperature, atmospheric pressure, humidity and precipitation. Now temperature you're familiar with, but atmospheric pressure, there are two contributing factors to that. One is the weight of the air. Air is a mixture of gases and the earth is holding them down because of its gravitational pull, and also moisture is present in air. Now these two things combine and have the effect of atmospheric pressure. Humidity is only the component of moisture or water vapors in air. Precipitation can be either um, uh, rainfall, or it can also be snowfall, or it can also be hail. Weather is a state of these four at any given point of time, and it can be different at different points of time, even in the same day, from morning till evening, or even minute to minute, it can change. Climate also has got the same four elements, but climate is the sum total of weather conditions and variations over a large area for a long period of time. We're talking about 30 years, 40 years. That is the time period we're talking about. Now, climate influences all the aspects of our life, including food habits, because the food that is cultivated in an area, the dominant crops are depending on the climate of that area, and that is what we eat usually. For example, if your area produces more wheat, then you tend to eat more chapatis. But if your area is a good producer of rice, then rice becomes your staple diet. Climate influences your dressing habits. You dress up in warm clothes in winter and you dress up in light clothes, cotton clothes in summer. Climate influences the way your house looks. Does it have a flat roof? Does it have a triangular roof? Does it have a stilt below them? It all depends on the climate in which you live. Now, seasons are those times of the year, the similar times of the year, the same months, year after year, which are either hot or cold or wet. And uh, there are certain times of the year which are also warm and humid. Uh, there are four seasons: autumn, summer, winter, and spring. But in our country, we follow a little bit different system. The causes of seasons are two. Firstly, the distance of Earth from the Sun. The Earth rotates around the Sun not in a circular orbit, but in an oval orbit, in an elliptical orbit. Secondly, the Earth is not straight; it's tilted at 23 and a half degrees, 23 and a half degrees. These two things causes the variation in seasons. In India, we have these four climates, the seasons. Sorry, the climate of India is known as monsoon type climate, and such a type of climate can be found between the latitudes of 20 degree north and 20 degrees south. Now, in that, the seasons are cold weather season, which is mid November to February. We have hot weather season, March to May. We have the rainy season from June to mid September, and we have a season of transition. That is, one season has ended, the rainy season has ended, and the winter has not yet started. That is transition season, and that is from September to November. That is your Diwali season. The factors which determine the climatic conditions of a place are known as climatic contours. There are six of them: latitude, altitude, atmospheric pressure and winds, distance from the sea, that is also known as continentality, and ocean currents and relief. Now, when we say latitude, it is because of the curvature of the Earth's surface. Now, in the top portion, this three rays called A from the sun are hitting the earth near the north pole, and they cover a larger area, so the same amount of solar energy which is spread over larger area, the energy per unit area is less. That is the reason the poles are cold. But when it comes to the equator, the same amount of solar energy is hitting a small area. That means the amount of energy per unit area is more. That is the reason the equator is warm. The second factor was altitude. Altitude means the height from sea level. There's a terminology in geography. It is known as a lapse rate. It means that when you go up in the air 1000 feet, the temperature drops by 2 degrees Celsius. So if the temperature at sea level is 30 degrees Celsius, at 3000 meters it will be 10.5 degrees Celsius. And often you find the pictures of tall mountains, or maybe you have seen them, the tops are covered with ice and snow. Now, as you know that the air has got weight, and when we feel that weight, it is called pressure. Now, when you are going up a hill, you feel difficult to breathe because of the gravity. It has pulled the air down, so there is less of air at higher altitude. That makes it difficult for you to breathe. Hot air is light, so it rises, and cool air is heavy, so it sinks. Winds move in groups, and they always move from high pressure area to low pressure area. And sea is mostly in high pressure area due to large amount of evaporation. Now, one aspect of the atmospheric pressure is the upper air circulation. Now, this is different from the winds at the ground level. We are not talking about wind at the ground level. We are not talking about the breeze which moves the trees and moves the curtain in your house. We are talking about something which is happening between 9 kilometer and 12 kilometer up in the atmosphere. That is the place where the troposphere ends, and that's known as tropopause. There are high speed winds. How high is the speed? You'll be surprised to know that the jet streams are in summer they can be as fast as 184 kilometer per hour, and in winter they are 110 kilometer per hour. Now, if they are converging, if they are going downwards towards the earth, they are known as convergent currents, and if they are moving from ground and upwards, they are known as divergent currents. Now, convergent ones, because the air is coming down towards the earth, they create a place of high pressure. They create a condition of high pressure. Similarly, the ones which are going up are removing the weight of air from above the surface of earth, and so they create a condition of low pressure. The third point in this is there's something known as western disturbance, and by this we mean that in the Mediterranean Sea, if there's a condition of high pressure and if there's a condition of low pressure over our country, over India, wind laden with moisture, because of the sea there is moisture there, it moves from this high pressure area to low pressure area in India, and this happens mostly during winter, and that is the reason sometimes in winter we have rainfall, and this is one of the reasons of rainfall in winter. The other one I'll be telling you shortly. Now, this is known as western disturbance. Alright, and this happens because of moist air there, because see, if you look at the direction, they are coming from west to east, so they are known as westerlies. We're talking about cyclones now. They follow a certain path. If you can see the clear path, see this orange and blue lines and yellow lines, they represent the path of cyclones. And right in the center, like blue color, deep blue, is the place where equator is there. So these cyclones, they move from the east side and they go towards the west side. Also, you will notice that it's the land mass acts something like a magnet. So wherever you have land mass, you find that this yellow and orange lines or the cyclones hitting the surface of hitting the land is more. And below the equator, because of Australia and the Oceania, there are some lines, but they are less in number, less in intensity. The reason is the Asia landmass, the North American landmass, is much greater than the Oceania and Australian landmass. Now, this is a picture of the cyclone named Fani, which hit India some time ago. This is a satellite picture, and when cyclones hit, because they are traveling from the east towards west, so naturally when they come to this Bay of Bengal area, they hit the eastern coast of India. So they cause a lot of damage there. They cause rough conditions, rough weather conditions, lot of rainfall, lot of wind, lot of blown structures. At present, there is a cyclone known as Amphan going on, and this is the satellite picture of the cyclone Amphan, and this is the picture of a road from Odisha. If you can see the destruction Amphan has caused already. The next factor is oceanic currents. Just like we have air currents, water also moves in currents. They're just like flowing rivers. And just like air currents are warm or cold, we have water currents also warm or cold. If they are coming from the poles, they are cold. If they are flowing away from the equator, they are warm. Relief means the topography or the way the surface of earth looks. Is it hilly, is it plain, is it plateau? That is the meaning of relief, and that also influences climate. Now here in this picture you can see that there is a warm sea, and because of warm sea there is evaporation, and there's cloud formation, and because the temperature at greater heights is less. If it is 20 degrees on the sea level, it is 7 degrees at 2000 meters, and because of this less temperature there is condensation. Now condensation happens if the cloud is or the wind is moving across mountains or high areas. The side from which they came, that is known as the windward side, or that is where the rainfall occurs, and the other side of the mountain or hill is known as the leeward side. That area remains with less water precipitation or less rain, and that is also known as rain shadow area. This kind of rainfall is also known as orographic rainfall. Now, one something very basic and important for you to know is, whenever we say east and west, what do we actually mean? When you're looking at the globe, whatever landmass is coming on your right hand side, that is the east, and whatever is coming on your left hand side, that is the west. But if you were to take the globe and look at it from the north pole downwards, whatever will be on your right hand side will be known as west, and whatever is on your left hand side will be known as east. This you have to keep in mind, and when you later study geography in 11th standard, this knowledge will be useful for you, and today also it's useful for you. Now India, by its position, it's lying in the path of northeasterly winds. When we say northeasterly winds, they are coming from the north and from the eastern side. So they are coming from the Himalayas, because we have above our landmass, the Indian peninsula, we have the country of Nepal, and we have the Himalayas from Jammu and Kashmir till Arunachal Pradesh, and beyond that we have Tibet. Please bear in mind that in geography, although we are talking about regional geography, you're talking about India, but at the same time, please bear in mind that the winds and the waters, they do not follow any uh, restrictions of countries or states. Now, wind, when it blows from one place on earth to another, it gets deflected because of the rotation of earth. Now, this effect is known as Coriolis effect, and in the northern hemisphere, the wind gets deflected to the right hand side, and in the southern hemisphere, the wind gets deflected to the left hand side. Even it affects the flow of water, and this is the reason why we have the cyclones forming, and because of this effect, we have that rotation of the cyclonic system, and it is because of the rotation that they cause lot of damage, because of rotation they have lot of energy in that. Coriolis effect affects the wind current. As you can see that we have the trade winds, which are could have flown in straight lines from the subtropics or from the poles, but they don't flow in straight line. They take a curved path. Now, wind pattern in India is unique. If you see the picture on the right, this is the picture you have of the winter time. Now here we have the wind blowing from the Indian peninsula, from the landmass towards the seaside. Now these winds, they are originating from beyond the Himalayas, and because they are originating over land, these are not having any moisture. You know, you have to apply cold cream in winter time, otherwise you have chapped skin, your lips crack. But if only we had this kind of condition in India, India would have been a dry land, it would have been an arid land and a cold land. It would have been, in other words, a cold desert like Tibet. But it's not like that. The reason is because of the Himalayas. The Himalayas reduce the temperature of winds coming from the north, because beyond the Himalayas, you have Tibet, which is a part of China, and then you have Mongolia, and then you have Russia, and the northern part of Russia is Siberia. It's a very cold place. So India would have been easily very cold place to live, but it's not happening like that because of the Himalayas. And in summertime, there's a reversal in the direction of the wind flow. It flows from the sea towards the land. So when they flow from the sea towards the land, they carry a lot of moisture also, and it causes rainfall in our country, and that matters a lot to us. And the rainfall in our country is known as southwest monsoon, and it's because of the wind that this name has come. Now, monsoon comes from an Arabic word known as Mosam, and Mosam means climate. We'll talk about this in detail shortly. Now, we also have northeast monsoon winds. Like I told you, in winter we have rainfall from two sources. One is the disturbance in the coming from the Mediterranean Sea, and the second reason is because of the northeast monsoon. These now when the in the winter months, these winds are flowing from the Himalayas and passing over our country, entire country, and going towards the seaside. Now some winds, they come over the Bay of Bengal. They come over what is Bangladesh and West Bengal, and they flow over the Bay of Bengal. And as they are crossing India, they hit the coast of Tamil Nadu. This happens in the winter months, October or November, December, and then the coastal area of Tamil Nadu gets a rainfall. Now, jet streams are fast flowing, narrow, meandering air currents in the atmospheres of some planets, including Earth. The main jet streams are located near the altitude of tropopause and are westerly wind. That means they flow uh, from west to east. They originate from the west. This their path typically have a meandering shape. Meandering shape is like the flowing river. And one thing to note here, although it's a picture of North America, and it's not possible to have the same landform, warm and cold at the same time. But in order to show you the way they move because of the temperature, the path they take because of temperature is like this. Whenever they pass over a warm landform, they bend towards the north pole, and whenever they come over a cold landform, they bend towards the south pole. That is what gives them the meandering shape. Now these jet streams, you already know what they are, and they create areas of high pressure and low pressure. Sorry, you already know that convergence causes high pressure, and these are known as ridges, and divergence causes low pressures, and these are known as trough. Now we'll be talking more of trough in the coming part of the chapter. Please note that there's this term called ITCZ. We'll talk about that also. The ITCZ is intercontinental zones, or these are also known as intercontinental convergence zones, and they usually are parallel to the equator, but not exactly parallel. They also meander, and they move. In January, they are near the equator, more near the equator, below the equator rather. In November, when because the temperature is warmer during November, they start moving, and in the summer they are very much on the Indian landform, and they also help bring moisture and spread it over the country. Now this is the atmospheric condition over the Indian subcontinent in the month of January. You can see that the wind from the Bay of Bengal side, it's from the Tibetan plateau crossing over Himalaya, it's moving towards the seaside. And this is how it looks in the month of June. Here you can see that the wind direction has changed completely. Instead of flowing from Indian peninsula towards the sea, it's flowing from the sea towards the Indian peninsula. The Intertropical Convergence Zone, or ITCZ, is a belt of low pressure which circles the Earth generally near the equator, where the trade winds of the northern and southern hemispheres come together, and it is characterized by convective activity which generates often vigorous thunderstorms over large area. Now this green line in the center is the equator, and the red line just above it is the ITCZ, or the Intertropical Convergence Zone. Now I have kept the map of India side by side in such a way that the equator of the equator below our in the map of India is in the same line. This green line is same green line in the below the map of India is in the same line going towards the thick green line on the map of the globe. And this ITCZ, although it's in the center, during the warmer time of the year, it moves northwards. So you can see in this map on the left, the ITCZ is much below the Indian landform, but when summer comes, it has moved towards the north. This is known as shifting of intertropical convergence zone. Children, we are looking at the factors which cause rainfall. Till now we have seen that. This is one more. The heating and cooling of land and water happen in a different way. at different times of the year, even different times of the day. Land heats up fast and cools down fast. Water, on the other hand, heats up slowly and cools down slowly. And this gives rise to difference in atmospheric pressure. And because of that, there is the flow of wind either from the sea to land or from land towards sea. Now, in summertime, as today, the ITCZ has shifted much to the north. It's over the Ganga plain, and this also has an effect on the monsoon rainfall. The another factor which is having importance for monsoon is the high pressure over Madagascar. As you know that the Indian landform will be warm during summer, and because of warmth there will be a low pressure area on it, and there's a high pressure area near Madagascar. This island is Madagascar, and it's the fourth largest island in the world, and it is on the eastern coast of Africa, near the African coast, and this becomes an area of high pressure. Now, because if this is a high pressure area and India is a low pressure area, naturally it will cause wind to flow from the high pressure area to the low pressure area. And these winds, because it's flowing over ocean, the Indian Ocean and the Arabian Sea, it's taking a lot of moisture with them. And that is also important factor for rainfall in India. Then, because you know that Tibet is a desert area, it also gets heated up during the summer, and because of that heat there's a low pressure developing over that, and to take the place of that low pressure area there is wind laden with moisture coming from the South Asian system, and that also contributes to the rainfall in India. Now we have the jet stream. WJS stands for Western Jet Stream, north of Himalayas, and TEJS stands for Tropical Eastern Jet Stream over the Indian Peninsula. So, in these two maps, one side you have the eastern trade winds, and other side and the western trade winds. The way they are meeting in the ITZ. Now there's a phenomena called as southern oscillation. Oscillation, as you know, is like the movement of the seesaw or the movement of a pendulum. This is a phenomena found in the tropical eastern South Pacific Ocean and the eastern Indian Ocean. And there's an oscillation in pressure. If there is high pressure in one part, that is in the Pacific Ocean, there is a corresponding low pressure over the Indian Ocean and vice versa. This phenomena is known as southern oscillation. Then you have the El Nino phenomena. On normal years, there is a flow of wind and water from the Peruvian coast. These cold winds, they flow towards Australia from the western side of South America to the eastern side of Africa. But occasionally, once every 2 to 5 years, this changes, the direction changes. They flow from Australia to South America, and they cause a lot of weather changes all throughout the world. And sometimes El Nino and southern oscillation, they coincide, and if this happens, it is known as ENSO, or it stands for El Nino Southern Oscillation. Now, El Nino Southern Oscillation is an irregularly periodic variation in winds and surface sea temperature over tropical Eastern Pacific Ocean, and it affects the climate of much of the tropics and subtropics. Because India is in tropics and subtropics, it affects us also. you know that the Indian landform can be divided in roughly half uh, by the Tropic of Cancer. So below the Tropic of Cancer, we have the tropical climate, and above the Tropic of Cancer, we have the subtropical climate. Here is a rough way to predict the intensity of monsoon in India. What is done is the atmospheric pressures are taken at Tahiti, which is in Pacific Ocean, and Darwin, which is in north of Australia, and the pressure of Darwin is subtracted from the pressure of Tahiti. And if the pressure difference is negative, it means India will get a below average rainfall and a late monsoon arrival. If it is positive, it means that there will be above average rainfall and early monsoon arrival. Now, when the monsoon arrives, it lashes the landform. There's rainfall, heavy rainfall for quite many days. And if you live in Mumbai, perhaps you are familiar with this kind of scene. The characteristics of monsoon in India is it is not steady. It's like pulsating. Sometimes it increases, sometimes it decreases, and it is affected by atmospheric conditions which it encounters on the path of these winds. Some of it has to flow from the north part of Himalayas. Then some of the winds is flowing from the seaside towards the land. Some of the wind is flowing from Madagascar towards the Indian landmass. So whatever weather conditions, atmospheric conditions these winds are encountering, they affect the monsoon in India. The duration is between 100 days and 120 days, that is roughly 3 months to 4 months. And early June to that makes it early June to September. Uh, when in the first week of June, the monsoon will hit the coast of Kerala, and in 10 days it goes to Mumbai, and thereafter it turns towards Pakistan side. We are going to see the two branches of monsoon after a few slides, and the initial normal rainfall is known as a burst. This is the normal rainfall. It increases and continues for several days, and then afterwards it stops. It stops. There's no rain for quite many days, and that is known as a break. And the reason of break also we will learn shortly. These are the two branches of monsoon. We have the Arabian branch over the Arabian Sea, and we have the Bay of Bengal branch over the Bay of Bengal. Now, what happens to the Arabian branch is it hits Kerala around 1st of June, travels upwards northwards till Maharashtra, hits Mumbai around 10th of June, and hits Gujarat and proceeds towards Pakistan on the left. Then the branch which is the Bay of Bengal branch doesn't hit the Tamil Nadu coast much, but encounters the land at Andhra Pradesh. There's a rainfall there. Odisha also, West Bengal and Bangladesh, the northeastern hills, and it turns inwards towards the Ganga plains. It turns inwards because on the north side there are the Himalayas, so it cannot cross that. So it turns like that towards the left, and then it delivers rain towards Delhi and Punjab and Haryana and Rajasthan. Rajasthan is the last one to get the rainfall, so it usually gets very less rain. Also, Rann of Kutch gets less rain because by the time these winds flow that direction, they are almost empty. Now, retreating monsoon begins in the northwestern states by early September. It withdraws completely from the northern peninsula by mid-October, and because the moisture is there in the soil and because of the heat, there is lot of evaporation, and that makes October month which is very hot and humid, and that particular heat is known as October heat. And the withdrawal of monsoon is very fast as compared to the arrival of monsoon, and it withdraws completely from the subcontinent by early December. When it comes to islands, it's the progress is from south to north. The southern islands get the rainfall first, and when it comes to withdrawal, the northern islands experience the withdrawal first. As we have already seen that India has got these four seasons, and we have a monsoon type climate, and it has got distinct seasonal patterns. Now the weather conditions change greatly from one season to another, and there is very noticeable. It's very noticeable, especially in the interior parts of the country. Now we said that the proximity to the sea coast also affects the climate. That is known as continentality, because the water has got a moderating effect. It neither allows the coastal areas to become very hot or very cold. We have the cold weather or winter from November till February. Now, this is the speciality of our winter. The duration is mid-November to February. The coldest months we have is December and January. And the temperature decreases when you go from south towards the north. South will have warmer temperatures, and progressively to north, the temperatures will drop. We have warm days and cold nights, and frost is common in the north. The higher reaches of Himalayas experience snowfall. And we have trade winds. The northeast trade winds blow from land to sea, and this makes it rather dry winter. Rainfall we have on the Tamil Nadu coast, which you just saw, and we have the low pressure system of and the Mediterranean Sea, western disturbance. They cause rainfall, especially in the western coast during winter. That rainfall is very good for the rabi crops. Rabi crops, they benefit from that rainfall. Pressure and wind system condition is we have weak high pressure in the north and light wind moving outwards, and we also have the relief winds. The hot weather or summer season in India you're very familiar with, and now we are undergoing that. The time and duration is month of March to May. The hottest month is usually the month of May, and there's a gradation from the inner parts of the country which are hotter than the coastal parts because of the effect of the oceans, the moderating effects of the ocean. And the north is less hot. If you go to Shimla or Manali or Kulu Manali or the Kashmir Valley, it will be quite pleasant and cold there. The typical summer in India is either hot and dry, as in the inland countryside, or it is hot and humid, as in the coastal areas. And we sometimes have localized rainfall, especially towards the end of summer. We have thunderstorms, we have violent wind, and just before monsoon comes knocking, in Kerala and Karnataka, the pre-monsoon showers are also known as mango showers because it's the time for ripening of mango fruit. In West Bengal, it's a lot of violent wind, thunderstorm, and heavy rain, torrential rain, and that they call as Kal Baisakhi. And the pressure and wind conditions in this time is there's a reduction in pressure over the northern parts because of the heat, and there's an elongated low pressure area from Thar Desert, the Great Indian Desert in Rajasthan, all the way to Patna over the northern plains. And we also have the hot winds. We call them as Lu in Hindi. These are hot and dry, high speed winds. Often they they can even kill. The people die of heat stroke because of Loo. And dust storms and light rains, because of dust storms, the radiation of sun reaches less to the ground, and the temperature on the ground decreases because of dust storm and light rains. The day temperature can vary. It can vary from place to place. In Tamil Nadu, if it is 30 degrees Celsius, in Madhya Pradesh it is 42 degrees Celsius, in Rajasthan 50 or 51 degrees Celsius is also common during summer. Now we'll talk about monsoon. Some of it we have already seen. The time and duration is early June, usually first week of June till mid-September. Now, like I told you, I will talk about the reason of breaks in monsoon. And you know what is a trough? Trough is an area of low pressure. The monsoon trough, it also moves northward to, it can be northward or southward, and good rainfall happens when the axis is over the plains. But if the axis is closer to the Himalayas, you have dry spells, which are known as the breaks in monsoon. The rainfall varies over the country. Thar Desert gets annual rainfall. Jaisalmer Barmer district, the average rainfall is not even 10 centimeter per year, and it is more than the daily rainfall in Meghalaya or Mizoram. The average rainfall for the year 2019, that is last year, works out to 56 centimeter only. Pressure and wind. We have low pressure over northern plains. Sorry, the average rainfall is 561 centimeter. Last year's figures. The low pressure over northern plains are there. They attract the trade winds from southern hemisphere, and the direction of flow is south to west, and that is why we call this as the southwest monsoon, and the velocity of the wind is around 30 km per hour. Now you saw the breaks, and now let's see the floods. Due to the longer dry spells, there are floods in the catchment areas of rivers which are there in Himalaya. So one side we have floods and the other side we have the droughts. The other determinants for monsoon are frequency and intensity of tropical depressions, and depressions forms at the head of Bay of Bengal and goes over to the mainland. And there's the pattern of following the trough of the low pressure. Now this is a map of India showing the distribution of rainfall. So because the western coasts, Western Ghats first received the southwest monsoon, and they are on the rainward side, they received more rainfall. Just behind that is a region of less rainfall. Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh and Vidarbha are far away from the Western Ghats, so they received a moderate rainfall. Tamil Nadu receives also moderate rainfall because of the winter rains also. We have the northeastern hill states. Here the monsoon winds take a turn, they hit there and take a turn towards the northern plains, and that is the reason why they have more rainfall. They take a turn because of the hills and the mountains, the Himalayan mountains. And when this rain-bearing winds come towards Rajasthan and bend towards the Ran of Kutch, they have released already their moisture elsewhere, so these regions will get very less rainfall. Then Jammu and Kashmir, because they have a dry climate this time, and because there's a mountain belt here, they also get less rainfall. Monsoon has a unifying nature in India. It is beneficial for the animals, the plants, and even our festivals are determined by that. Some of the festivals are determined by that. Our agricultural calendar is also determined by the arrival of monsoon. And as you know that the Himalayas are protecting India from too much of cold, and they are also contributing to the uh, monsoon rainfall. Also, the structure of India, the triangular peninsula structure jutting into the ocean, three sides we have ocean, we have the Arabian Sea, we have the Indian Ocean, and the Bay of Bengal. And the position of India above the equator, they all contribute to rainfall of monsoon. And because of that, our the climate in India becomes averaged out. We are neither too hot nor too cold. Of some localities may be hot or cold. That is the unifying nature of monsoon, and we all wait for the summer months to be over. We want the relief the monsoon brings for us. Also, when this water infiltrates into the soil, it flows underground also, and it combines the river valleys. One river valley can combine underground with another river valley, and unify the spreading of groundwater. This is the picture of arrival of monsoon over Delhi. I hope you like this chapter and I hope you benefit from it. If you feel you're going to benefit from it, you can give it a thumbs up. You know, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not here for the thumbs up. I'm here to teach you a chapter. And if you like it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.